You're watching Extras from the Extension on Eagle Community Television. This show is brought to you by Carico Implement.
As the weather starts to warm up and we start to get into that growing season, you get a lot of questions, at least I do, at the Extension office about fertilizing and how much fertilizer to apply, what kind of things to put down. And really it's a question of, well, if you don't know what you are starting with, you just don't know. You don't know the answer to what you should be putting down. So one of the most overlooked and easiest steps that gardeners or home landscapers can do, or oftentimes will overlook, is soil testing. If you have a garden bed or even your yard, flower bed, you want to know what nutrients are actually in the soil so that you can then determine what needs to be added, if anything. And so I'm going to talk about how to take a simple soil test, or at least a sample of soil for testing. And it's not very difficult at all. So let's pretend that this is our garden bed here. This is probably larger than many of you might have in your backyards, but this is a garden bed out at the Ag Research Center here in Hayes. And so usually what I tell people for a garden or a flower bed, you want to dig down at least 6 to 8 inches. And you can use a simple trowel, a sharpshooter, a spade, whatever you might have. Go ahead and dig down and make your hole. And then once you have your hole dug, you want to take a slice off the side of that hole that's about 1 inch thick. So I'm not quite that deep yet, but for the sake of time, we'll go ahead and pretend that I am. And you just take a slice of soil off the side of that hole. Now you want to get a good profile of that soil. So you can kind of break that off, make it even all the way around, and then dump that into a bucket. Now you want to get a good representation of what's in the entire area. So if you have a 10 by 10 garden plot or a flower bed, I would take at least 5 or 6 samples throughout that area, just like I did there, and then mix them all together in a bucket so that you have a good representation of the soil in that area. Now for lawns, the same thing would apply. You would want to dig down about 4 to 6 inches for lawns, and then go ahead and mix those samples all together in a bucket, and then take about a pint or a little Ziploc baggie full to your local extension office, and we can send that off to the K-State Soil Testing Lab to be analyzed. Now, if you don't want to use a spade or a shovel, you can check out a soil probe from the extension office to use, and these are kind of handy because they just take a nice core of soil. And this ground is a little bit hard, but it's pretty simple to go, and that one just broke apart, so that didn't work so good. But if your ground's not too dry, you'll get this nice core of soil. And if you find that the soil is pretty heavy clay, sometimes it'll stick to the probe. You can use WD-40 to spray the probe ahead of time, and that'll make the soil cores come out much easier, and that will not affect your soil test results. But once again, you just take several samples, mix them all together in a bucket, and then bring the extension office about a pint or so. One thing I will mention is that if you do take a soil sample and it tends to be a little wet, you might want to let it air dry on some newspaper or something for a few days before you bring it in. But otherwise, you can bring that into the extension office and we will send it off. For a typical garden or for a flower bed, the test that you will have done will show you what your soil pH is, your organic matter content, your nitrate, nitrogen, your phosphorus, and your potassium levels. And we call that package 2. And that costs $20 at the extension office, and that includes your shipping and everything. If you're just testing a lawn area or a turf grass area, then we call that package 1. And with that, you'll find out all of those things I just listed, except you will not find out your nitrate, nitrogen, and your organic matter. So if you're interested in having that done, don't hesitate to come and maybe check out the soil probe or bring us a sample and we can get that tested for you. Now, one thing I wanted to mention, if you are a resident of the City of Hayes, the Extension Office is partnering with the City of Hayes to provide free lawn soil tests for city residents. So if you're interested in maybe finding out what your turf grass has as far as nutrient levels going on, or maybe you're looking to plant a new lawn this spring, this is a great time to take advantage of that. It's first come, first serve, and so I think we can do up to around 33 of those. But if you want to come in and have a free soil test done for your lawn, this is the time of year to go ahead and do that. One last thing I wanted to mention before we end today, we have a program coming up at the end of April. It's April 21st on pesticides and pollinators. So for those of you that maybe are confused about, what affects pollinators as far as pesticide use, or you see sometimes at the store those little signs in the flowers that say this product was treated with neonicotinoids or some of those types of things nowadays. This is a great program for you to attend because we will have Dr. Raymond Cloyd, who's the K-State Research and Extension Entomology Specialist, come, and he's going to present about pesticides and pollinators, some of the factors influencing bee colony collapse and those sorts of things. And he will also talk about organic pesticides and those pesticides that can be used in organic farming. So if you have questions about any of those things, this should be a really great program. It's free to the public. We just ask that you call our office and let us know if you're interested in attending. And once again, that program will be April 21st from 7 to 9 p.m. at the Extension office. If you have questions about anything garden related or turf grass related or landscape related, don't hesitate to contact your local Extension office for more information. Reporting for K-State Research and Extension, Eagle TV, I'm Holly Dickman, Ellis County Horticulture Extension Agent.
You're watching Extras from the Extension on Eagle Community Television. This show is brought to you by Carico Implement.